Welcome back, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. And we're going to do some work on our museum beat today. We're going to run into the new museum here on the Bowery, and we're going to take a look at an exhibition curated by this gentleman, Massimiliano Gioni, and it's an exhibition of works by Peter Saul. Stay tuned. So there's our curator. This exhibition starts on the 3rd floor. Oh, I got tired of waiting for the elevator, so I walked up 3 floors. Okay. So I'll make a few cursory remarks as we scan over the installation. I started seeing Peter's work, in the late 70s at the Alan Frumkin Gallery on 57th Street. And, well, I've been watching him over the years, and I would say I am a fan. It's also been interesting to watch his career arc over the last 30 or 40 years. Well, the title of the show is Crime and Punishment. I think this might be one of the earliest pieces in the show. It's titled Girl Number 2 from 1962. Now, Peter is from the Bay Area, and somewhere along the line people got the idea that he was from Chicago. Maybe it was because he was showing with Alan Frumkin, but he was a Northern California boy, and he studied at the California School of Fine Arts in the early 50s, so that was a period of time when Clifford Still was still having a lot of influence there. It's titled Bathroom Sex Murder, 1961, oil on canvas, 59 by 68 inches. And also, that's the school where I think Mark Rothko and Ed Reinhardt went for short-term teaching gigs. And I'm wondering whether Peter was involved with the beat scene there. People like Lawrence Ferlinghetti and City Lights Bookstore. This is Icebox number 3, 1961. Well, Peter was, I guess, going to school. He eventually went and spent 7 or 8 years in Europe, I guess, maybe in Paris. And in the press release, they talk about at some point he's in Paris and he picks up a copy of Mad Magazine and kind of gets the idea that he wants to start incorporating images from mass culture into his work. But I think, and if you saw or are familiar with the early Mad Magazine content, and you realize how nasty and transgressive a lot of it was. I think the FBI even came in and, maybe they had congressional hearings about the corruption of the youth that was being caused by Mad Magazine. But sort of goes to the point of how Peter was a very prescient character. This is titled Super Crime Team, 1961-62, 59 by 63. Well, I always liked the work because of the biting, satirical, kind of overwrought cartoon aspects of it. Anyway, they say that Mata, the famous surrealist artist, I guess, introduced Peter's work to a gallery in Paris, and I think maybe that led to his hooking up with Frumkin and had a couple of shows in San Francisco. This is titled Icebox Number 1, and I think this is probably the best example of his pop-inspired paintings. It's like you've got your little cans of stuff in here, which is a reference to Warhol. So I think there's just kind of an overall feeling of maybe Tom Wesselman. This is Icebox number 8. And here we can see that Peter's actually starting to expand his, or richen his palette. And I guess doing portraits of American refrigerators would tell you a lot about the culture. So this is Icebox number 9. Now I wonder if they'd started doing the colored refrigerators at that time. I remember growing up with an avocado colored refrigerator in the kitchen. 62 by 75. I think one of the other things that is nice about this show is that you get a chance to see a lot of the early work, and we can kind of noodle around and see his technical prowess. Mickey Mouse versus the Japs. Okay, that's gonna get 3 jigger points on the political correctness scale. Okay, so there's a whole lot of various combinations of Mickey here. Also, I think it's nice that Peter is able to use things like the ceramic tile you would find in a kitchen or bathroom and turn it into kind of a formalistic device that a lot of the minimalists and systematic painters picked up on later. Superman and Superdog in jail. Okay, well, this is a good example of Peter's kind of biting wit. And even before Kathy Bradford was doing her kind of perverted Superman paintings, Peter Saul was already there. Also, he's quite a colorist. We'll see him bump this up into the neon colors soon. Rich Dog. Well, notice he's got a couple of paintings of dogs. I was talking about the fact that he was from Northern California, so there's a whole group of Bay Area painters that I paid a lot of attention to. And one of the artists was Roy Deforest, and I think he probably spent about the last maybe 20 years of his life doing paintings of dogs and groups of dogs. And says that Peter was in the original funk art show. It's 1963. This is titled G.I. Christ, and okay, well, he's not holding back here. He's definitely bumped up the colors. They're calling this oil on canvas, but I think this fluorescent is probably one-shot sign painting enamel. It's got some metallic in there. I think also this is the first piece where it's really obvious that he's starting to use his pointillist technique that he will eventually turn into kind of a way of modulating his, sculpting his forms, modeling the forms. This is a big painting. Saigon, 1967. See, this is one of his more famous pieces. And, well, I think one of the things that kind of pushed him over the tipping point as far as recognition was his paintings criticizing the Vietnam War and American foreign policy, and there's a whole bundle of causes that he was, and a lot of people were aware of back in the 60s. Okay, so this is 67. It's during the run-up. Also, he's flattened the paint out quite a bit, so it doesn't have the body, the thick clumps of abstract expressionist pigment with the dripping and withering and clotting. This is titled Pinkville. So I'd say the paintings from about 1967 are the ones where he really establishes his mature style. This is another big painting. This is 90 by 131 inches from a private collection courtesy of Venus over Manhattan. So I think, like a lot of the pop artists, that Peter was looking at a lot of commercial art, illustration, advertising. It's titled Target Practice, 1968. Oh, this is acrylic on canvas, 91 by 99. So that's about an 8-foot square. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of various influences that you can sort of see coming in. Saying not only the pop artists and his kind of flattening his surfaces, but it also recalls some of the psychedelic artists from the Haight-Ashbury. And this kind of thick graphic line kind of recalls Liechtenstein. Yankee garbage. Also, I think that he's paying more attention to his overall color harmonies, color structure. Well, I'm also a fan of text, and well, I think it goes to Peter's being influenced also by maybe some of the Bay Area underground comic artists, not only Robert Crumb, but maybe one of my favorites, S. Clay Wilson. Vietnam, 1966. Oil on canvas, 79 by 67 inches. Oh, you can really see his drawing in here. This is titled Human Dignity. Acrylic and pen on canvas. Oh gosh, they've got sections of whole landscapes that have been kind of erased. I think he's using a colored magic markers. So, and just remember how that bleeds through here. More early paintings. This is titled Man in Electric Chair, 1964, oil on canvas, 59 by 51. Well, they talk about how Peter was always kind of an outsider and dealing with subject matter and also treating that subject matter in a way that the people invested in good taste couldn't really handle. And so they were saying that I had a hard time when it was always kind of remained on the periphery. Although I was looking at his list of collections that the work is in his past exhibitions and one-man shows, and for an outsider, he's been pretty well accepted. I mean, maybe that's part of the shtick. Superman in the Electric Chair, 1963, 63 by 79. I think this is maybe one of the more just purely color-based pieces. God, this little squiggle of magenta is nice. Ever ready. Maybe that refers to the battery. Sex deviant being executed. Yeah, somehow I get the feeling that if you were a trustee at the Museum of Modern Art, you probably wouldn't be putting stuff like this on your walls next to your Jasper Johns and your Rothkos. Maybe.
See, that is the reality, but this guy has to.
This is titled Crime Doesn't Pay, 1963, oil on canvas, 59 by 51. Oh, I get it, ever ready. These people are all in the electric chair, so we've got it hooked up to the batteries. I actually like Peter's earlier work. I like the kind of the slapdash, gooby oil painting aspects of it. And when you kind of transitioned into a more graphic style, it might make for a more articulate narrative, but it loses a lot of its painterliness. Subway 1, 1979, acrylic on canvas, 67 by 64. Well, 67 by 164. Yeah, that's a big painting. Okay, so again, we're delving into subject matter that's pretty transgressive. Geez, I wonder if that's the MTA. You'd think this piece is interesting coloristically because he's kind of taken his ground and all of the modulating colors out of a kind of a gray background, which has a tendency to flatten this out even more. Okay, well, I won't get too much into the describing the narrative, but we've got a lot of grotesque policemen doing dastardly deeds to a bunch of downtrodden people. Yeah, some of the modulations are very closely keyed in these grays. That's a real history painting. This is self-defense. Acrylic on canvas 68 by 96. This is 1969. Okay, self-defense. Combined rich and poor asshole. Okay, so we've got a little pocket knife here for self-defense, decency, work, and honesty. San Quentin #1, Angela Davis at San Quentin, 1971, 71 by 94. Power, money, justice, equality. Okay, so Peter's also kind of a poet. View of San Francisco, #2. This is 1986. Well, as I said, I kind of felt like as Peter has progressed in his career, he's gotten much better with the illustration part of the work. He's actually a master of kind of articulating his forms and modulating the surfaces with his pointillist brush strokes. But there is a very kind of a flatness to the work, and I guess that relates a lot to pop and advertising art, commercial art. It's titled Upper Class, Lower Class. Oil on canvas, 1963-68 by 77. I think the other thing that I'm impressed with is that Peter is a very ambitious painter. Most of these pieces are at least 5 by 6 feet, 4.5 by 6 feet, which that's a commitment. Crucifixion of Angela Davis. See, some of this is like a trip down memory lane for me. Some more of his pocket knives. Jesus, 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 Jesus is. Those nipples look more like the heads of plungers. The government of California. Oil on canvas, 68 by 96. This is from the collection of Cause, a ersatz street artist that's gotten a lot of attention lately. Okay, so yeah, this is fun. This is before Ronald Reagan became president. I think he was a two-term governor of California. And, well, I remember going to an exhibition that Peter curated. I think it was at Zurcher Gallery, Zurcher Studio, titled something like "If You Weren't Curated into This Show." And somebody asked him about the fact that he'd kind of backed off on his pretty vicious political satire. Poor, strong, clean. And well, they asked him why that was, and I don't know, you might even be able to check this in the Kalm report. He said something to the effect that, gosh, when he started doing it, it was very transgressive and very radical and very badass. But at some point, everybody started doing it, and, well, Peter's the kind of stubborn, against the grain kind of guy that decided if everybody's doing it and it becomes fashionable, it's time for me to move on. This is some more early works. Sick Room, 1964, oil on canvas, 50 by 59. I like the way he's trying to correct that drip. Superman's punishment. Okay, so again, we've got another recurring character, symbol. That's Superman. We got Mickey Mouse, and I think he's had Super Dog in at least a couple of paintings. It's 1963, and I'm actually thinking that this looks like, yeah, it's held up pretty well. So the last one on this floor. Killer, 1964, 66 by 57. Okay, let's go upstairs. Oh, geez, we've got to work on paper here. It's titled White Nurse, 1966. Oil pastel and colored crayons, felt tip and ballpoint pens, and graphite on ivory wood pulp board. Well, I'm always intrigued with seeing painters' drawings. Get a chance to kind of suss out how they proceed with their ideas. Yeah, that's a big piece too. That's probably about 4.5 by 3.5 feet, something like that. Let's keep going. Okay, boy. Well. Okay, I like this. This gives you an idea of the prolific nature of Peter's practice. I know these are probably all from the last 15 or 20 years. Wow. Well, as impressive as the installation is, it does create a problem in that we can't really get up and oogle the surfaces on these too closely. It's titled Oedipus Jr. 1983, acrylic and oil on canvas. 93 by 74. Okay, well, he's an equal opportunity skewer, an equal opportunity critic. Stalin and Mao. Actually, I kind of like the more subdued color thing here. Okay, I'm just following the handout here. I'll go around the top level of this. Newt Gingrich versus Orphan Annie. This is acrylic and alkyd canvas. 1995. 85 by 69. Oh gosh, he's got Rush in there. Okay. I got Monkey with the paintbrush whacking Newt Gingrich over the head. Newt Gingrich is eating pie. Okay, NRA gun is coming through the window. Don't put me in your orphan asylum. A dog puking on Rush's head. Okay. Gee, I wish he would tell us what he really thinks. It's titled Telephone Call. Acrylic on canvas. Okay, so this is just a kind of a grotesque portrait. I don't see any text. Maybe I'm uninformed. I don't see any relationship to some actual person. I'm going to go down to the second level and we'll just skim across these. This is titled Stupid Argument, 2010-11 oil and acrylic on canvas. And again, we've got no text. I think that there is a kind of narrative message here if you look at this. It's like, okay, we've got cigarettes, people smoking. It's like bottles of something, soda pop, chemicals, airliners, hobnail boots. There's another major painting. Custer's Last Stand, number 1, 1973, acrylic on canvas. This is 89 by 150. Well, I think at some point Peter was out in Texas, maybe Austin, teaching in the Battle of Little Bighorn. And, one of the artists that I've followed for a while, you can go back and check the files, is Michael Berry Hill. And he said he studied with Peter. I guess there was a whole group of artists out there in Texas that were working with Peter in maybe the 90s into the early aughts. I think at some point Peter relocated to New York. Okay. Young Executive, 1980. Oil and acrylic on canvas. I think this is a good example of just how well Peter is able to modulate and carve out his forms using his stippling technique of modeling. So I think there's a certain amount of kind of goofball cartoon surrealism coming through here. The melted eyeglasses kind of relate to Salvador Dali's melted watch in the persistence of memory painting. I think also I was at a little panel discussion. I think it was Hauser and Wirth. Ken Johnson had published a book titled Are You Experienced? About the repopularization of psychedelic drugs. This is Stalin in 1943. Anyway, there had a lot of people there talking about some of the experiments that had been done. A lot of, I guess, millennials were kind of rediscovering the world of LSD and mescaline and angel dust and all those other things. Execution of Jesus. Okay, then we got more text. Hush boy, you be dead. President Trump becomes Wonder Woman, unifies the country and fights Rocket Man, 2017. Okay. Kim Jong-un. Anyway, so Peter's at this panel discussion about psychedelics, and he raises his hand and says something to the effect of, gee, I always thought that just drinking and smoking was, twisted my head enough. I didn't need any acid or mescaline or anything else. And he got quite a chuckle from the crowd with that one. Ronald Reagan in Grenada in 1984, acrylic on canvas. So, yeah, Peter's probably was acquainted with Ronald Reagan for decades. And the other thing I was kind of wondering about is that well, it's nice to see that Peter is getting a lot of attention now, and it's interesting to see how transgressive art is reevaluated by institutions, but that all depends on the boxes that are being checked off by the type of transgressive subject matter. This is Return to the Alamo, 2017. Okay, so this is 80 by 120 inches. The other artist that this makes me think about is, God, a wonderful master, Robert Colescott, who I also somehow get the feeling was maybe from California. It's titled Girl Trouble. Oil and acrylic on canvas, 90 by 72. Donald Trump in Florida, 2017. Well, okay. I'm thinking, I haven't seen Peter around here today, but that's probably because he is so backed up with juicy subject matters that he's probably home working in the studio 24 hours a day. He's got plenty of interesting subjects to work with. Washington crossing the Delaware. Another big painting, 89 1/8 by 150 inches. This is also from the collection of Cause. Well, so I was been watching Peter's work since seeing it at the Alan Frumkin Gallery on 57th Street in the late 70s, early 80s. And well, you would see it occasionally, maybe in a group show somewhere in New York. And maybe 8 or 10 years ago, he got picked up by Mary Boone. And was having shows with her pretty consistently for every 2 years for maybe almost a decade, something like that. And, well, I always felt comforted by the idea that if I wanted to see some Peter Saul work, I could always drop in at Mary's and see something. And then, well, then she went up the river. And, well, I felt bad because it took Peter about 25 years to get picked up by a good New York gallery. I don't know who he's represented by now. Someone wonderful, I hope. Bush at Abu Ghraib, 2006. Okay. Well, I just looked at this and thought that this was probably Columbus discovering America. And I was right. This is 1992 to 1995, another big painting, 96 by 120 inches. You know, I also like the way Peter kind of shifts from a soft focus, kind of fuzzy background into very sharply articulated and hard-edged representations in his characters or his figures in the foreground. And something tells me that if a lot of, or if a young artist started off doing these kinds of images today, you would probably have a huge, nasty backlash on Instagram and Facebook, and the like the social justice warriors and the political correctness people would be coming after you pretty hard. So this is oil and acrylic on canvas. Wow, we're just about done, folks. Well, one last wall. We're going to kind of hurry through this because they're clearing the galleries. Gulf War III. George W. Bush with Adolf Hitler in his plane. What is? It's a bullet, sir. Okay. Fort Defiance. 2008. Oil and acrylic on canvas, 66 by 98. Beckman's The Night. Okay. Well, many of these other paintings we've looked at are dealing with American subject matter, like George Washington crossing the Delaware and some of the pop art things. Here he's paying homage to Max Beckmann, maybe one of the greatest of the German expressionists, I guess you would consider him. Maybe also part of the Neue Sachlichkeit. Actually, that's a very nice painting. The Three Centurions Are Invincible, 2003, oil on canvas, 76 by 68. Okay, I've been watching the Netflix series Glow about the gorgeous women in wrestling, something like that. The gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Kind of makes me think of that. Okay, this is titled Women's Art, 1981-82, acrylic on canvas, 78 by 68. I wonder if this is a critique of his, or his idea of a critique of feminist art. Although, yeah, he spent a lot of time painting in this background of the wood grain patterns. Women's art. Am I done? Are we done? We're done. Okay, so this has been James Kalm reporting on Peter Saul, Crime and Punishment, here at the new museum. I think you got a pretty good idea of what's going on here. You can like this, share, recommend it to your friends, post it to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. And after 15 years, we just ask you to say, thank you, Kate.